It's the late night drive. It can be very enjoyable, but at the same time, it can be dangerous. You have to make sure you're doing things the right way so you can get from point A to point B, accomplishing your goal. You have to look both ways. You have to navigate through sometimes difficult obstacles. At the end of the day, if you're calm, cool, collected, you can execute and get where you have to go. In essence, you have to be the master of the late drive to achieve your goal. In Detroit, there's only one master of that late drive, and we know him to be the one and only QB clutch killer, Matthew Stafford.
Jerry Mallory here for SB Nation and PrideDetroit.com. Game one is over. The Detroit Lions are victors. This video segment started around March of this year. Free agency was beginning. We went through the draft. We went through training camp, preseason. All of those things predicate what really matters, the games when they count, in hopes of making the playoffs and, if you're lucky, the Super Bowl. But it all starts counting with the regular season, and it was a close one. It looked shaky for a minute, but the Lions are victors, and at the end of the day, all that goes on your record is a win or a loss, and we got the win. It was a big one. Ford Field was ecstatic. The crowd was in it, and the Lions came to play, just like last year, a little shaky at the beginning, but proved to be solid during the second half. There's a lot of highs. There are some lows as well. Jeff Fisher obviously still has it as a head coach. Very solid. Looked like he schemed against Matthew Stafford very effectively. Calvin Johnson, when I looked at the stat line, I saw 6 catches for 111 yards. It was the most quiet 111 yards I have ever seen. Just shows how dominant he is, where he kind of has an off night because he was not double, but not even triple, sometimes quadruple team. Yet and still he walked away with a very good day receiving. Kevin Smith, when he's healthy, he's solid. He's not great at anything, but he's very good at everything. Catching the ball, a few drops here or there, but getting the game-winning touchdown. And good to see the hometown boy, Joique Bell, get into the end zone. So we have a few highlights, a few player of the game, and other mentions that we're going to get to. So let's take a look and see what some of those highlights were for the game.
We'll start with our unsung heroes of the game. It's cornerback Drayton Florence and linebacker Justin Durant. Florence, so new to the team, could not even find a recent photo of him in Lions colors. Justin Durant, second-year guy for this team. Now, Florence had a very big play. It was a pass breakup in the first half. This could have been a touchdown. The receiver was wide open. At the very least, it would have been a huge gain, and it would have put the Rams in position to score at least a field goal, but more than likely a touchdown. Florence, not the fastest guy, not the most physically imposing, but he is a veteran, and he has that oh-so-cliche but true term, veteran savvy. A few injuries took place. Chris Houston, then Bill Bentley during the game. Florence was rushed into action, and he came to play and had a very big pass breakup that could have been a game changer for the St. Louis Rams. Now, Justin Durant, he had 12 tackles. He was all over the field. He's probably the most stout of all of our linebackers when you talk about the run. Stephen Tulloch is good against the run and the pass. DeAndre Levy specialized in pass coverage, but Durant is the man against the run. Steven Jackson did not have his customary game, 100-plus yards on the ground, 50-plus catching, and this was because although the defensive line stayed true to their wide 9 form, rushing the quarterback very heavily, sometimes over-pursuing, the linebackers were in position this game, limiting what Jackson could do, and Justin Durant was at the forefront for that. Play of the game was Ndamukong Suh. This picture is kind of similar to what happened. It was a one-arm tackle. To me, it was awesome, not only because it was a one-arm tackle. One arm was engaged against the offensive lineman. The other one grabs the strong, very powerful Steven Jackson with one arm, taking him to the ground. It's a microcosm of the strength of the fury that Suh can bring. I'm very excited as to what he's going to bring to the season. A little bit of a down year in 2011. I think he's going to return to his rookie roots and dominate just like he did in this game with a big sack, a couple of tackles for a loss, and yes, that play of the game. Now, the player of the game, very rarely does one throw 3 interceptions and they're still the player of the game, but Matt Stafford did just that. It was the resiliency. It was the last drive. Believe it or not, we did not have any second downs in that last drive. First down completion, first down, and then the touchdown. Stafford could have very easily shrunk it into a hole. He could have clammed up. He could have showed his nerves because of a rough start, but instead he does what he always does. Performs, especially when it counts the most, and in the second half. We've been seeing him do this since his rookie year in the comeback win versus the Cleveland Browns. He has a flair for the dramatic. When times are tough, he steps up to the plate. He ends up with 355 yards and showed that accuracy, poise, and leadership that every quarterback covets in the NFL.
Now, even though we got the win, and that's the most important thing, we as fans are not blind to the many mistakes and mishaps that happen. We'll start with Matthew Stafford. He traditionally plays better in the second half, but 3 interceptions in the first half is inexcusable. He has trouble throwing that out pattern occasionally, and so it showed in this game. Fortunately, we're playing a team that we are, I would say, quite a bit better than. We don't know yet. The season's still early, but just judging by the talent on their roster and how they did last year, fact of the matter is, if we play like that against the better teams, your San Franciscos, such as the team we have next week, your Green Bays, your Chicagos, those will not be victories. They walked away with 3 turnovers, 13 points off those turnovers. That could have easily been 17. It could have easily been 21. Our secondary was pretty good. Almost gave up a huge play. As we mentioned, Drayton Florence broke that up. And there was far too many dropped passes by the receivers. Brandon Pettigrew, once again, dropping a touchdown pass. Kevin Smith with a few drops as well. And then there's Titus Young. For the most part, we were very disciplined. I love the line. Very few penalties. But we could not go away from the game without at least one disciplinary problem. It was Titus Young Jr. this time, and he was benched for that in the beginning of the second half. So all in all, I'm glad we got the victory. We have our works cut out for us. Our work, singular, not works, cut out for us. I want to use correct English here. If we're going to be successful. We'll talk about San Francisco more later in the week, but I'll just say this. We did not do good against playoff caliber teams last year. In fact, we were 0-5. So we have to prove in that game that we're able to beat one of the top-notch teams, including on the road. This was a good game to get all your mistakes out the way. Not saying we won't have any during the season, but this is a good game to kind of get those kinks out, learn from the mishaps because you're at home and you're playing an inferior team. So, guys, do a little bit better, but we'll talk about that next segment. Next video. This one was a victory. Mark it down. The Lions are 1-0. Congratulations, and all is well. So until next week, we'll have a little story piece that we'll do in between. And then the third video we'll do this week, we'll be focusing on 49ers versus Lions. So until then, I want to thank each and every one of you for listening and watching. You might be closing your eyes. I don't know. Who knows? Thanks for watching. As always, this has been Jerry Mallory for SB Nation and PrideDetroit.com. Okay, that was cheesy.